What's going on, sports fans? When the Auburn Tigers roll into Gainesville October the 5th, it will be homecoming for the Florida Gators. Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speak Sports. Mostly talking about Auburn football and the rest of the SEC. Want to give a shout out to my fearless and true gang, War Eagle. Subscribe to the channel. Now, here's the deal. Florida on homecoming, it hasn't really bode too well for them for the last 2 years. Both years they faced SEC teams. They faced LSU in 2017, losing that game 17-16. Last year, facing Missouri in a somewhat of an upset for Missouri, winning that game against Florida 38-17. By the time these two teams play one another, Auburn and Florida, Auburn will be coming off of two key SEC games with Texas A&M and Mississippi State. Texas A&M, actually Auburn will be playing them on the road. Mississippi State, they will face at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Florida, by that time, will have played Kentucky and Tennessee. In between, they will have Towson right before the matchup against Auburn, who Towson, I would think, I've never heard of him, probably easily a cupcake team. So, either way, as we look at week 6 of the college football scheduling, this is really important when you talk about a game like this. In the SEC, the other high-profile game of that week will be Georgia and Tennessee. It is very likely that the Georgia and Tennessee game will be on CBS, that 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 Eastern Time ball game. So when you look at this, chances are, looking at the fact that Auburn will have played Oregon, Florida will have played Miami, two, very, very huge non-conference matchups. If by chance these two teams come into this game undefeated, there's a good chance that not only will this be an ESPN primetime ball game, this will also be, game day may be traveling down to Gainesville for homecoming for the Florida Gators. Now, Florida is really coming off a very, very positive ending to the 2018 season, finishing 10-3. Also having one of the top 10 recruiting classes in the country, including, surprisingly, a 4-star recruit out of Auburn, Alabama, Mahmoud Diabate, who is a linebacker. He was a 4-star recruit, 95% rating, very highly rated. Auburn did actually try to recruit this kid. Travis Williams is shown as having several visits to Auburn High School, which is literally where they play football at Auburn High School is literally 6 to 7 miles away from Jordan-Hare Stadium. So, Auburn did pick up on Owen Papo at linebacker. So, you kind of balance that thing out, and hey, it is what it is. Congratulations to that young man out of East Central Alabama getting the scholarship to go to the Florida Gators. Now, Florida Gators comes into the 2019 season with a boatload of momentum, a boatload of confidence, especially toppling Michigan in the Peach Bowl 41-15 off of the great play of Felipe Franks, who will be returning this year, probably as the starting quarterback. You could see Dan Mullen throughout the season with Florida do a lot of rotations at the quarterback, but Felipe Franks, for the most part, was the mainstay at quarterback last year. Also, returning LaMicah Perrine, I think he is a very, very good running back. Auburn is going to be very challenged on the edge with him. He's very, very quick, and he can get some of those quick hitters, 10 to 15 yards. He has very good vision, so he's going to pose a really unique challenge for the Auburn defensive line. And, this is where we're going to find out. Well, this is one of the few games where we're going to find out if the Auburn linebacker play has improved, because I will tell you, if Auburn still had the linebackers from last year, and which was led by Deshaun Davis, I would be a little nervous about this game, because Auburn their linebackers were just not active on the edge. They weren't really active in the flat, especially at the point of attack. A lot of chasing 20 yards down the field on certain runs. So this game will be very pivotal as to where the linebacker play is. I think the defensive line for Auburn will pose a huge challenge against the youthful Florida Gators. This will be a very, very good football game. One thing you can note, let's just say Florida gets down into the red zone. They're very, very Dan Mullen is very creative in the red zone. Like, for example, look at this play right here. You have a zone read fake to where you pitch it out to the running back who is wide open, walks into the end zone because assignment. Matter of fact, that their the alignment wasn't in place to defend a play like this anyway. And either way, it was just grossly misread. So those are the kind of things you have to look out for in a Dan Mullen type offense. Dan Mullen also likes to show very, very multiple schemes. He likes to. There was one play where he had like three receivers on this side, two on the other side, and then he runs a draw play or he runs a screen. So he's very creative in how he utilizes his personnel. Now, when you look at the Florida Gators on defense, they return probably one of the most talented freshman cornerbacks in C.J. Henderson. Now, C.J. Henderson actually was one of those guys who was a former receiver that converted over to the cornerback position, and it's worked out very well for him. Had a very, very productive year. Now, one thing to note is that Florida on both sides of the football field compared to Auburn is going to be very youthful. Not a single senior on either side of the ball. So that's another thing to look out for. So you can look forward to homecoming in Gainesville being a very entertaining ball game. By that time, Auburn will know who's the solid choice at quarterback, whether it will be, Bo Nix or Cord Sandberg. I don't think Cord Sandberg will start. He just won't start. Malik Willis and Joey Gatewood, by that time, that position will be solid. So it's going to be a unique challenge for both teams who are probably, I'm not saying it's highly likely because they have a lot of tough games going into that ball game, but could be a team, matchups between two undefeated teams with high stakes going into early October, because we all know in the SEC, that's when the stretch starts. That's when things start to come together as to who's going to be the SEC, who's going to represent the sub-conferences in the SEC championship. So this will be a huge game in determining that. Historically, Auburn and Florida just really, an incredible rivalry, just riddled by upsets here recently, mostly by Auburn. Auburn has won the last 3 ball games. So we look forward to a huge SEC matchup in Gainesville, Florida, for homecoming. Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speak Sports, mostly talking about Auburn football and the rest of the SEC. I want to give a shout out to my fearless and true gang. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, War Eagle.